In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser, and this week Joe's back, only he's at the Dingle and I am in Cork, Ireland, not Cork.
Hello.
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
So we are in entirely different countries, which is...
It's very strange because I can't see your face or your hastily cobbled together notes. I basically have no idea what the hell's going on. I've got beer and I'm sitting here.
Oh, they're not hastily cobbled together. I have no wine. I've had a glass of wine down with dinner, but I have no wine with me. I was going to bring a glass of wine. I know it is. I know. I feel very ill prepared. Anyway, today we're talking about pricing, because pricing is a monster that gets inside business owners' heads and destroys their potential.
Right. So I feel like I'm at one of those horrible, stressful interview things where they just give you a topic and tell you to talk about, in 5 minutes you will present on this topic for half an hour.
So yeah, Joe, basically, I'm gonna need you to talk about prices. Go.
Right. Well, prices are the agreed amount of monetary value that is exchanged in recompense for services or products. Things can be expensive, cheap, full of value, or a total waste of money.
Okay, so I'm going to start with very good. I'm going to start with a little story about a Dutch doctor who's called Philip von Siebold, and in the late 1840s. No, bear with me.
You make this stuff up.
No, this is true. A Dutch doctor called Philip von Siebold in the 1840s came to the UK and started to sell Japanese knotweed to botanical gardens and basically toffs.
He was a bit of a twat.
Well, no, because back then it was very pretty and it was very exotic and people wanted it as an ornamental plant. So basically, anyone with Japanese knotweed problems can blame the Dutch.
Right.
All of them, all of the Dutch. So, yeah. So that was in the 1840s, but by 1869, and that wasn't quite so much of a problem, but by 1869 it was on sale for the general public and farmers started to use it to feed their animals. And it was, because because it grows quickly, and I'll tell you just how quickly in a moment. But it became really popular in gardens for decades and decades until one day it escaped.
So did it just pull somebody's house down?
Well, I think it might have done actually, because in the 1930s, the presence of Japanese knotweed began to reduce house prices in Cornwall by 100 quid, which in the 1930s was a lot of money.
Mm.
And then in 1981, so only 51 years later, the Wildlife and Country Act made it an offence to introduce Japanese knotweed to any wild spaces at all.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, if any listeners are wondering, it's because Japanese knotweed is a very bad thing. And the reason Japanese knotweed is a very bad thing... Sorry, I'm just checking that my microphone was actually working in the recording. It's like,
yes, it is.
It's an invasive species, not my microphone, the Japanese knotweed is an invasive species, and it grows up to 4 inches a day.
That's ridiculous.
I know, that's like
I've seen brambles do something similar.
Yeah, you can almost see them kind of crawling across our garden, basically, can't you? Mm. But yeah, Japanese knotweed. But the problem is one of the problems is that it grows really, really, really quickly. But the other problem is that it has this huge root system that's like about 3 meters deep and 7 meters in all directions.
Right.
So you can imagine what a massive problem this is if there are any building foundations or drains anywhere near, which they're going to be, because 7 meters is quite a lot of root, really.
Yeah.
You can't dig it out because if you miss a tiny sliver of root, it just regrows. You can inject herbicides into its stem, but it takes about 6 months to kill it.
Okay.
And it's a really expensive way to do it. So anyway, that little story was kind of a bit of a ramble by way of kind of using it as an illustration, really, because once Japanese knotweed seemed like a really good idea.
Right.
because it was pretty and exotic, and it was an ornamental plant, and it was introduced by a Dutch doctor called Philip von Siebold.
I would believe Philip von Siebold if he said this is a good thing.
Would you?
Well, it's a good name.
It's a good name. It's a good name, and you can trust doctors.
Yeah.
They should be able to. But now, Japanese knotweed is just trouble now, and it's my dodgy segue is that discounts are a bit like Japanese knotweed. They seem like a really good idea at the time. They seem like a really good idea at the time, but sooner or later they'll destroy your business's foundations.
Right.
I don't know why you're laughing. Frankly,
normally I get some clue where you're going with these rumbles, but no, that's good. Okay, right. Carry on.
It's true. Japanese knotweed. It seems like a good idea at the time, and then it destroys you, and that's exactly what discounts will do. Because right at the beginning, when you first start a business, it's really tempting to just discount everything to in your desperation.
Just so you can sell something to somebody somewhere.
Exactly, and it seems like a really good idea until you realise that your business is about to fold. And we've run the figures on this podcast before about how much damage discounts can do. I think we've done some calculations, haven't we, so people can go back and listen if they want to know. But it's not as simple as just knocking your prices down. It's a lot more dangerous than that, because you knock a lot more off your profits than you do off your prices. And you're working harder for less money, and you enter into price wars that destroy everybody, like those price wars that petrol stations get into. It's just nonsense, because if you're discounting as well as kind of knocking all that money off your profits and all the rest of it, there's other real damage that it does as well. You've got fewer resources of time and skills and general stuff, because you're working, you're scrambling to get more done for less money. And it means that you say yes to everything and everyone out of fear. You say yes to, the most awful opportunities. And worst of all, I think it just destroys your self-worth and your self-esteem, because if you're selling your stuff at knockdown prices, what does that say about who you are?
And as well, it sullies the whole relationship you have with your customers, doesn't it? You end up collecting price buyers, who are basically the worst people in the world.
Yes. well,
maybe not quite the worst people in the world, but they're getting close.
Yeah, the worst customers in the world for sure. Price buyers. So all that said, what do you do instead? Well, my answer is you put your prices up.
Right.
And
So what if my thing is much like somebody else's thing?
Wow.
If I'm selling corkscrews, and I say that because I've just opened a bottle, if my corkscrew is much like somebody else's corkscrew, why are they going to buy mine?
Well, there's a load of stuff you can do to make it, to make it worthwhile, and I'll come to that in just a moment. But before I do, I just wanted to kind of give everybody a real life example, because I know that people are going to be thinking, I can't put my prices up. I can't possibly do that. And, part of the reason will be they'll be looking at, what they sell. And it's like, well, it's just a corkscrew. So how do I put my prices up if it's a commodity? Well, first of all, I don't believe that anything has to be just a commodity. There are very, very few things. But I'm a mastermind at the moment, which is why I'm in Ireland, where a fellow mastermind member was telling us this morning that he has put his prices up over the last few months, and he did lose a few customers, which is, and that is all that. If you're a scarcity-minded, short-term thinking business owner, that's all that you will worry about. You'll worry about losing a few customers. You'll focus on that. You'll panic about it. But here is the important part. My mate's turnover went up by 20%. After he put his prices up, and his year-end profits were up 450%.
What?
So just by putting his prices up, he lost a bit of deadwood in his business, kicked a few price-buying customers to the curb, and the extra money that he was making from putting his prices up has just swallowed the loss of custom.
So was he making basically no profit before then? Because that's a massive uplift.
It's a massive uplift. And he's done a few other things as well. He's cut some costs elsewhere in his business and streamlined a few things. But essentially, it's all down to premium pricing and putting your prices up and positioning. And that's what he's done. He's positioned himself utterly uniquely in his market, which, by the way, I'm not going to say what it is because I haven't really got permission to tell his personal story. But his market, on the face of it, is very commoditized. To look at it, you would think, well, it's just a commodity. It is what it is. It's like a corkscrew. But what he's done is taken it and he has made it something different from that, which kind of comes right back round to what you were saying about, well, it's just a corkscrew. Well, that's where you're like, well, okay, what can you do with this? First of all, before we go on to, how to put your prices up and make it work, there's a caveat to all of this, that you must be bloody good at what you do or make. If you're selling crap, you shouldn't be in business at all, let alone charging, high prices. So let's just assume that everyone listening is really good at what they do. First thing you need to do is stop listening to other people who are charging far less, because they're irrelevant, because prices are based on demand and not reality. And a good example of that is plane tickets. So if you book a plane ticket a long way in advance, you can usually get a really good deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if you need to get a flight tomorrow?
It's brutally expensive.
It's brutally expensive. Yeah. And you can do the same thing looking at, food and drink as well. It's like you can buy, I was doing a bit of research earlier, you can buy a 2-litre bottle of Sprite for about £1.85 in most British supermarkets. But a 330 millilitre can of Sprite costs about £1.20.
Right.
That's kind of insane when you think about it. But you don't,
what about at least just 6 times as expensive or something?
Yeah, something like that. But the reason is that, you buy a can of Sprite because you're thirsty right now and you want it right now, and you'll get it out of a vending machine or out of a fridge or whatever at a shop.
Mm-hmm.
And you want it now, and that's the price you pay. And, there's going to be a lot of people out there going, oh, that's not fair. Well, the world's not fair. Suck it up. If you want something fast or if you want something rare, then it's going to cost you a lot more.
Okay.
So that's one thing that you can do, is look at, the fact that prices are based on demand and not reality. And the second thing that you need to do is look at how you decide what price to set for your products or services. And this is a really, really tough one, because most people will just look around at what everybody else is doing and do something similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's really stupid, isn't it, Joe?
Yes, because that way you are just becoming one of the herd. You're not differentiating yourself. You're not the expert. You're not the specialist. You're not the trusted advisor. You're just somebody who sells something.
Just a dude selling a corkscrew.
Yeah.
Whereas what you could do is a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll come to that in a moment. But before I do, I just wanted to point out that pricing, when you price your products and services, you do it in a vacuum. Is what's going on outside really isn't relevant. It's not, unless you are. Sorry, go on.
That's a difficult thing for people to accept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
really.
if you're a graphic designer, and somebody just goes on the internet, searches graphic designers, and gets 3 quotes. If yours is twice as expensive as the other 2 guys, then, well, you haven't really done your job right, have you? I guess. No,
well, that's the thing, you see, because I'd never ever, I don't remember the last time I had somebody drop me an email or phone me up saying, oh, I've just Googled you and I want to know how much for a sales letter, because that's not the way I do business, and that's not the way smart business owners do business. It's like, yeah, okay, organic search can be useful if you're selling, like for my inner circle and that kind of thing. If I'm doing lead generation, organic search is really, really useful. But for my copywriting, for my private client copywriting stuff, I wouldn't dream of ever looking to get clients like that, because exactly what you've just described will happen. And the way I want to get copywriting clients is through the people that I know, through my previous clients, through referrals, through building a relationship long term with a list of people and keep talking to them, which is why I'm so keen on follow-up. And that's another way to be able to charge higher prices. But yeah, you're right, getting your head around the fact that pricing is done in a vacuum is really difficult for most business owners, because it's really difficult to pick a price. So my advice is to do what Sean D'Souza at Psychotactics does. And he actually calls this dartboard pricing. He just puts a bunch of prices up on a dartboard and then chucks a dart at it. Because that is as logical a way of deciding on pricing your goods and services as anything else.
Right.
And it also gets around that whole, if you hit a higher price than you're really comfortable paying, then it's kind of like, well, you know what, that's the price I'm going to have a go at. And you'll find more often than not people will pay it, because the thing is, the price of anything is exactly what the customer will pay for it.
Yes.
If they can afford it, if you can convince them it's worth it, that's what the price is. It's, how much you charge will depend on what your product or service is designed to do, as well. And it'll depend on how you describe it and all the rest of it. But essentially, you can charge whatever you like. And if people are willing to pay for it, then that's the price. And it's your job as a marketer, as a business owner and marketer, to persuade people that it's worth sticking around for.
Yeah, there's something special to do with this one.
Yeah. And, there are different, it's not always a case of just putting a really, really high price tag on something either, because there are reasons to price things a bit lower. So maybe it's designed to be the first stage on a long-term customer relationship journey. Maybe it's the first thing that they're going to buy from you, in which case, you don't want to be selling something for 10 grand, because that's a big ask for, unless you're selling luxury yachts.
Yeah, for somebody who doesn't know you.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Exactly. Or maybe it's to attract people who are risk averse but will become loyal customers in the end, in which case you want to price it a bit lower to bring them in and build that relationship. Because once they trust you, risk averse people aren't necessarily price buyers and they aren't necessarily cheapskates. It's just that they need a lot of convincing to spend that extra money, and they will do that if you bring them in and build that relationship.
Okay.
Or maybe you want to attract really high-end clients, in which case you have to go big, because they won't even pay you any attention if you're cheap.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin, isn't it? If you're cheap, then you're not the expert.
No.
You're not at the top of your game. You're not at the top of the industry.
No, exactly. And everybody has things that they won't buy cheap. It's like you'll never catch me dead in a pair of really, really cheap shoes, because they're uncomfortable. They tend to be badly made. They last like a year, and quite often they're ugly. So, I'm not going to buy, I would rather buy 2 pairs of shoes a year and spend a couple of £100 on them than, 5 pairs of shoes that are 10 quid each.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, I've never bought a piece of cheap climbing equipment in my life.
No.
So there is never a moment rock climbing where you think, my goodness, I'm glad I saved a couple of quid on this piece of vital equipment.
Yes. Yeah, and do you remember seeing on the motorbike forum that we used to go on, there would be people going, "Oh, what's the cheapest motorcycle helmet?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? How much is your head worth?"
Yeah.
It's bonkers. So yeah, very much.
I'm after a really cheap pair of bike boots. Oh, right, so you don't mind if your foot gets twisted off in a crash.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's But yeah, I think the really important point here is that pricing is really random, and or certainly when you start pricing things, it's really random. After you've got a product, you can start testing it and testing different price points and all the rest of it. But the very first one you pick, you just gotta do what Sean D'Souza does and chuck a dart at a dartboard. and I found out recently, or I realised recently, that even Amazon does their pricing randomly. Did you know that?
I'd imagine that they do stick 7. Is there any truth to the kind of putting a 7 at the end of it and 9s and using odd numbers and things makes people more willing to pay, or more they notice it more, or something?
There has been research done by I can't even remember who it was. I think it might have been Ted Nicholas, who is quite a famous copywriter. It might not have been him, it might have been somebody else. But yeah, there has been research done into putting 7s at the end, and it's become a thing where everybody just puts 7s at the end, including me. I've still done that. But the thing is that was done in quite a specific industry, I think, and it was tested and tested and tested, and it was probably mail order stuff that they were testing, because mail order stuff by its very nature has to be incredibly profitable, or it's just a massive waste, because it's very expensive to send out mailings. And so that's where all of the knowledge that we have about direct response marketing really comes from what the early direct mail people did, because they had to get it as right as possible. And so yes, there has been research done, but honestly, if you're not doing the kind of tiny tweaking, split testing stuff that these massive companies do, that the massive mail order companies do, it's honestly not worth worrying about. And for me to spend ages tweaking and testing whether a 7 is better than a 5, it's not worth the time and energy for me to maybe make an extra 1% of sales. Does that make sense?
So if I'm trying to set the price of, I don't know, I've written a course that I'm going to put online or something. Are you advocating not sort of saying, well, that took me, last week we were saying, well, how to work out your hourly rate, maybe the week before. So should I not kind of say, well, this thing took me 40 hours to put together, therefore it cost me, £2,000 to manufacture, and I expect to sell 20 of them, therefore they should be £100 each.
Well, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can work it out that way if you want. That's certainly one way to do it. But I always think that if I'm producing a product, it's probably not going to be a one-off thing that I'm only going to ever sell once. It's going to be something that I might do a launch for it this time, and then I might, offer it somewhere in my sales process elsewhere. I might offer it as part of a package somewhere else. So I think that, yes, you can price it like that if it's going to be a one-off. Certainly if you're doing an event or something, you want to make sure you're going to cover your costs.
Well, yeah, there's some practicalities you do have to achieve, don't you? You've got to make the numbers make sense.
But other times you might think, well, it's worth doing it as a loss leader because it will lead on to a whole bunch of other stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
It's all a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, I mean, that is certainly one way to decide. But then, what if you're valuing your time at £20 an hour? The whole thing becomes, null and void. And it's like, well, sell 10 hours. I spent 10 hours doing this. My hourly rate is £20 an hour. That's £200. It's like, well, really? And it's, so yeah, you can work it out like that. But I think just chuck it down to a dartboard.
Yeah, I guess people are paying for your expertise. If you're putting courses and products and things like that together, then they're not so much paying for the physical thing. They're paying for your expertise.
Yeah.
The knowledge.
Yeah.
Which is priceless.
It is priceless. It's priceless. I actually don't know how long we've been going for, so I'm just going to carry on.
That's the problem. We haven't got a timer, have we?
But I think. So yeah, there are a couple of points that I want to make actually.
Okay.
Before we finish. So basically, just to kind of recap, the real price of anything is what you are willing to pay for it. So the real question is, well, how do you get people who are willing to pay more? And that is a good question. And it doesn't have a simple answer, but I just do want to give dear listeners an idea of what to start thinking about. We've already mentioned scarcity and demand and that kind of thing. And of course, there is my favourite topic, which is uniqueness. The more scarce, the more unique a thing, the higher price it commands. But something today that I want people to start thinking about is the amount of knowledge that you put out there about your product, whatever it is, or your service or whatever, in the marketing and the packaging and in the story that you tell about it. And here is a good example. So at our local pub across the road, food is, it's good plain pub grub. And how is it described on the menu?
Completely forgettably.
Well, it's just stuff like, fish and chips with mushy peas or garden peas, isn't it? Or vegetable cottage pie, or
steak and kidney pie.
Yeah, or chicken curry with rice and naan.
Yeah.
And that's what it says on the menu, which is fine because it's pub grub and it's, local pub grub and the prices are low, less than a tenner. And it's fine. But if you go to one of the River Cottage restaurants, or canteens as they call them, because it can't just be another restaurant, the kind of menu that you will see is like seared Somerset halloumi, grilled courgettes, tomatoes and fennel, or rabbit. I've written this as rabbit rage, but I'm pretty sure I meant rabbit ragu. Rabbit rage with peas, spinach and parsley. So there's all that really delicious detail laid out in front of you, and suddenly fish and chips becomes cider battered Cornish hake with canteen fries and tartar sauce.
Right.
And it's not just chicken salad, it's Piper's Farm roast chicken salad with smoked bacon, baby gem lettuce, beans, radish and creamy garlic dressing. So do you see what they've kind of done is they've woven all of this detail in this story, and it's like gone from fish and chips to cider battered, which is like, it's not just any batter, it's cider battered. It's not just any fish, it's Cornish hake with a bit of a story behind it. Piper's Farm roast chicken. The chicken comes from, this specific farm, and it's got all this cool stuff with it. It's not just a chicken salad, chicken with a bit of green leaf bunged on.
Yeah.
So that goes a long way to, you're gonna expect to pay more. Just listening to the description of the food, you're gonna expect to pay more for that than for fish and chips at the pub.
This is true.
It's true. And, bringing it back to kind of what I do, some marketing and business coaches do membership groups for business owners. I don't do a membership group for business owners. I create a community for like-minded, ambitious business owners who want to stand out from the crowd. They want to do something different. They want to get different results. You get a superhero kit in the post straight away. You get a quick starter strategy to start growing your business immediately. You get access to hundreds of critiques, 3 years worth of teleclasses and webinars on a bunch of subjects, a monthly 12-page newsletter going deep into a different topic so you actually learn a skill, and a monthly challenge that gets you actually taking action and using what you're learning. And calls as well with a prize for the winner each month. You get personalized video critiques of your marketing when you send it to me, and you get regular email access to a group of people who will support you and come up with ideas. So that's not just a fucking business group. You know, it's all in the detail. I would never be, just have a landing page or just join my business group.
Join my business group. We'll talk about stuff.
Yeah, it's like you get all of it. It's the devil is in the detail. It totally is.
Cool.
So the too long didn't read version of all that is our big takeaway for this episode is tell your full story when you're selling your products and services. Put all of the details in, all the background, all the hard work. So for your corkscrew, Joe, it would be, well, you know what? It's not just a corkscrew. It's made out of olive wood. I don't approve of that. Actually, olive wood is very slow growing, but you know what I mean.
It's handcrafted by
badgers.
Leprechauns. Yeah, badgers.
Out of bamboo.
Yes.
And it's very green and eco-friendly. And it will also aerate your wine for you as you take the cork out. And
become an interesting conversation piece because nobody has seen a wine bottle opened quite like this before.
Exactly. And also, you might include a little booklet about, wines and how to drink wines and what wines go with different food, common wines, not like a snotty thing, but, if I were doing it, it'd be, well, okay, what are the most popular wines that people tend to pick up from the supermarket? And you could put together just a little pamphlet on, interesting information about that kind of thing and what people can drink it with and, just make it that bit different. And suddenly you haven't just got a corkscrew, you've got a way of life. Have we taken the corkscrew story too far?
A little bit, yes.
Yes. Anyway. So yeah, the more you tell, the more you sell, basically.
So your business group sounded good. How does that work?
Well, if you would like to sell more to more people more often and at higher prices, you are more than welcome to join my small business superheroes. Because this stuff that we do in the podcast is just the surface of what we do, and in the group I will show you how to really go deep and build the skills and mindset that you need to do as well as you hope to do in your business. Because I get such a kick out of seeing people take this stuff and run with it and be successful with it. It's just really exciting for me.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Makes a big difference.
I think there's a lot of lonely business owners out there who could benefit from either this or something very much like it.
Totes. Yeah, I could not have done it on my own. And there's a reason I pay eye-watering amount of money every month to come here every 3 months and get abused basically in my hot seat. I don't abuse anyone. You'll get told to get on with it in my group. So anyway, tell your full story whenever you're selling stuff, because that explain to people why your thing is worth what it is.
And put your prices up.
Yeah, put your prices up. Most people won't notice. Yeah, that's the other big takeaway. Most people will not notice if you put your prices up 10%. Those that do, most of them won't mind. And of those that do mind, there'll be a tiny minority, and who cares? You better offer it up. It's true.
Cool.
So, Joe, next week, I thought maybe we would talk about motivation, how to find it and how to use it and how to avoid the bollocks.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think so too. So, I don't know what else to say. Oh, URL would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Calls to action.
Calls to action. www.businessforsuperheroes.com/inner-circle. Join us, start doing things differently, start making more money.
Excellent.
You'll be most welcome. So that's all for this week. Joe, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem at all. I find it a bit weird. I much prefer it when we're clinking glasses and can see each other.
Me too. I miss you.
No. I'll see you Wednesday, love.
So thank you, dear listener. Take note of what you've heard and take action on it. Don't just listen to this stuff.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah, do something. And we'll be back same time next week. Ta-ta.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.